Yeah, someone is coming on board now. All right, good morning and welcome to another edition of our Google Plus Hangout for our channels. I'm Victor Matthias, and we're still looking at the protest. Yes, with Nigeria protest, and joining me today we have Benga Lauren for me. Benga, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Sure, and then we also have Michael Happy Michael, thanks as well. Our other contributors will join us in a moment, but then Mike, let's start with you. We don't have your video, but that's fine. I think your profile picture will suffice. Let's just get your own view. The protests have come and gone, and I mean it's a new week, a new turn, so to speak. Now, what do you think will be the outcome, or what do you think has been the outcome so far?
Well, the protest has come and has gone just as you said, but the outcome of protest will bring nothing. As usual, we've had series of protests in Nigeria. Nothing happens. Just talk, walk around the streets. Nothing will happen. But thank God we have a active president who acknowledged who received the protest leader, the NLC and TUC leader at the villa, and he promised to. In fact, he lectured them, so as the SLC said, he lectured them on some of the problems the government has been facing. But to what extent they will address these issues, we don't know. But I think the VP has set up a task force to address high cost of food prices in Nigeria, which is a good thing to have done. But we don't know how the effect of this will be, whether the price of food will come down, will be reduced, whether Nigerians can get food and other things as promised. But so far, the protest has been able to drive home the point that, look, guys, we voted you in, and you can vote you guys out if you guys don't perform. That's what the protest has been able to do for state PC government.
All right. So what exactly were even the reasons for these protests in the first place? Because there were various groups that protested.
Well, I think one of the key reasons why Nigerians protested was high cost of living. Then there were a lot of issues concerning the policies of government. One, you can point to one, I think the clearing, the increase of tariff at the port. There are a lot of policies which I think to Nigerians are not friendly, which later will be friendly, but for now they're not friendly. So a lot of people do not understand, and the aids to the government, the media aids to the government are not doing well by letting Nigerians know, okay, these are not what government actually set out to do, but because of current situations, we find ourselves, we need to do this, we need to do that. But since they've been addressing other issues rather than come out and just tell them these are palliative to save ourselves from getting into big mess. So these are one of the reasons why Nigerians protested. But now that it's clear to Nigerians that, okay, these policies are not yet to harm us, just for a few months or few years, then things will get back to normal. And these are one of the reasons why. And of course, you can see that the protest wasn't really that. Let's say it was successful, but it wasn't really that big because Two-Face, the arrowhead of the protest, Two-Face back down. Then it was just a few guys, Charlie Boy, Shawere, a few Thieves and NLC guys that were able to protest. And of course, it was on a Monday, so that's where that be at work, and we protested about the whole street of Lagos.
All right, very well, Michael. We'll come back to you in just a minute. But Benga, let's also get your understanding of this. I'm sure I followed a couple of your tweets. You didn't really agree with the protests. Why is that?
Thank you, Victor. I just want to make a clarification that I'm a member of the APC, and I work for an APC state government. So my views might seem a bit biased, but I'll still give it a shot. Personally, I do not think any government deserves the right to deny any citizen or group of citizens from protesting. And I think I made that clear in my tweets. What I believe was that this protest, there'll always be need for protests. I mean, when we were in opposition, we led a lot of protests because we're not comfortable with what the government in power at the time was doing. But at this time, I think this protest, as good as it was, had political undertone. There's been no. I mean, I might be young, but I don't think any government has been as open, as expressive, as empathetic as this current federal government. And many of the things that people want to blame this government for and see as failures, many people do not put into consideration the fact that Nigeria suffered many years of bad leadership. And if you want to if you want to say this government has done poorly in trying to address these issues, then I think you probably do not understand how big these issues are. Communication. This is one government that has brought up so many ways, so many styles of addressing the public. I mean, there has been town hall meetings, there's been civil engagement with all the organized labor. It's been a government that has been expressive, that is interested in listening to the other side. This is a government that has taken social media extra seriously. I don't think there's any official spokesperson of the government that is not on social media, that is not approachable, that is not that won't engage with you. But since the people of a group of people decided that they wanted to go on the streets, I am all for it. But I just believe that protest, especially the one that was supposed to be led by Two-Face, I believe it had political undertone, and I made that point known. I got a little bit of backlash from it, but that's part for the call. And I'm glad the way the acting president addressed them and recognized the right of protest and say what the hypocrisy. So that's my view on that protest.
All right, I mean, just despite all of the things you said the government is open, held town hall meetings, house spokespersons that are very approachable and engageable. Nigerians protested, like Michael said earlier on, that there are reasons for this protest. I mean, do you agree with these reasons? Do you agree that the government has failed in its responsibility to live up to the expectation of the people, and that's why they came out in protest?
If I get you correctly, you're asking if I believe there are reasons for the protest?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Like Michael said, the high cost of living, fight against corruption, which some have argued that is one-sided, and those are, I believe, some of the things or some of the reasons why they came out to make the march. Do you agree with them on that?
Absolutely. There will always be reasons for people to protest. I mean, democracy is democracy actually gives the minority the right to say whatever it wants to say, but majority will always have their way. You could nine apples 3 ways and it may be just test anything at anybody at a time when there's when that came in when I bring all parts of the country where there was the complete neglect of ethics, where there was corruption was rampant, and you want that government to, within 2 years, get to the level of America, get to the level of.
Okay, Gbenga, we lost your thoughts for a minute. If you can come again.
Okay, my point is, this government, the government of Muhammadu Buhari, came at a time when we were suffering from a breakdown in law and order, Northeast, and it came when corruption was rife. It came when it was easy for an individual to stack in his personal home 9.8 million to the tune of billions of dollars. It came at a time when EFCC was at its lowest. It came at a time when it was easy for army generals to just simply look at money set aside to fight terrorism and just simply take a knife to it and share it whatever way they wanted. That though that was the situation he inherited. Here we are trying to address these issues, and we are expected to perform miracles overnight. I don't think it's fair that we're putting so much pressure, so much expectation on the government in power. Well, but then some of this been made by the government, and they will have to fulfill them. As I said, I repeat, the public deserves the right to protest at any time it feels like, but I just think that we should have given more room for dialogue. We should have given more room for a conversation, more room for the other side to explain, for the government to explain to the rest of us why these things are the way they are. I see people come online and tell me men came to power as an decision has already been made. Except you just want to drag us into a conversation that is needless. That explanation is already there. The reason why food prices are high is clear. The reason why we are having issues attracting foreign direct investment at the moment is clear. I individual to protest, and I'm happy they did the protest.
All right, very well. We have two more participants. Who joins us, and also Ben Cosmos joins us as well. But Olumuyiwa, let me just come to you before I come to Ben. You were part of the discussion last time when we talked about the protest. 1 week after, would you say there have been any form of results from that march?
Well, to start with, it would be difficult to begin to quantify the gains of a protest, which in itself didn't really have so much of a strong footing within 1 week. I think honestly that a week is too short. What is important for me, or the take home or take away from that protest, is that Nigerians are at least beginning to wake up from their slumber and seem to be realizing that they do have that right to express their opinions when they feel it is necessary. And that's quite sharply different from what used to be 2, 3, 4 years ago. The last time I saw Nigerians waking up to the responsibility this much was in 2011 during the fuel subsidy protest. So for me as a Nigerian, I was happy to see people protest, no matter how small the crowd was. I was happy that people expressed their opinions, and I felt that they made an impact. We all heard or read the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, acknowledging the fact that the government hears the expressions and dissenting opinions and frustration of Nigerians loud and clear. I think that's a good way to start. I felt it's commendable that people, irrespective of the many antics of those who are being unnecessarily sympathetic, irrespective of the antics they played, I was happy that people were able to express their opinions. And with or without a two-face, Nigerians were on the street. Whether it made so much of a difference, we can't really tell now. But what is certain is that the government knows that Nigerians are waking up. And when you are entering into stages that we are venturing into now, mass mobilization doesn't start all of a sudden. To gather a mass, you need to be prepared, and it's something that you build over time. In those days, during our Australian Union days, when you want to have a congress, for you to converge so many students, you need to have embarked on very aggressive mobilization. So I felt that it was a good start point. I think that things can get better. I would love to see this government respond to some of those issues. A few of those demands are beginning to receive attention, but whether the attention would be followed through to the latter is what we are left to say. But was it useful? Yes. Should we continue on more protests? Yes. have we done well by expressing our opinions? Absolutely. And I commend both the government, the police, and the protesters for behaving so maturely. And I want to say that it's a good start point. And let's see how it goes over the next 1-2 months.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how that goes, 1 or 2 months. But then, Ben, let's also come to you and get what you think about the protest. I mean, it's 1 week since we had that march in Lagos, in Abuja, Port Harcourt, and some cities of Nigeria. Nigerians came out to protest for some reasons. But then, some of these reasons, some have labeled them as maybe the one-sided fight against corruption, the economy in recession, the issue of fighting. Okay, I just made mention of that. But then, do you think those reasons, or do you think the government has responded or failed to make these things happen?
I think, first of all, I want to commend Two-Face for raising his voice and up all Nigerians to wake up and fight for their right this time around. And I want to draw a thin line here, a very strong line between the 2011 protest and the current protest, the protest that just happened last week. I mean, if you look at the 2011 protest, it was a kind of partisan protest. It was a political protest against the fuel subsidy, which when the Jonathan administration wanted to remove the fuel subsidy, and some politicians saw it as a way of hijacking the whole process, and they protested against that fuel subsidy. I could remember a debate was set up between the then governor of CBN. The then governor of CBN and the former minister of petroleum and the former minister of finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and they did a lot of debate. A lot of debate went on, and at the end of the day, the oil subsidy, we couldn't remove the fuel subsidy, and this government has come into place. And today they are facing the same thing the government saw then, and they said, look, we need to remove this fuel subsidy. Since we didn't allow since we need to remove the fuel subsidy, and once we remove the fuel subsidy, and now everybody is feeling the pain. We are now feeling the pain. The high cost of our transportation has tripled. The high cost of living has tripled. I mean, almost 4 times the way it used to be before. I mean, you can no longer even get things, the common things, the basic amenity things that you need to get, the kerosene that you need to get, for your cooking and other domestic housework. You can no longer get those things just easily like that, like the price of paracetamol and the rest of the remaining issues. So these are the things you have to look at. This current protest now was a wake-up call for the government to check the systemic corruption. There's a lot of systemic corruption happening in this current administration. In terms of forest, there have been allegations of forest fraud going on, in terms of who you should allocate forest to, who you should allocate some certain amount of dollars to, and who you should not. There's a kind of fraud going on in that system, which this government have not really gone in to check what is really happening in that sector, and a whole lot of things that is happening in the system. And so this time around, Nigerians have seen it as their own responsibility to stand up and speak for the right and say, look, enough is enough. We can't continue to suffer. We are just, Nigerians are being left so vulnerable that they're just left at the mercy of just do whatever you can to survive. And it's not very good for a system like Nigeria. Over the last few months, unemployment has increased. I mean, salary has not been increased. Workers, even workers have not been paid. And so there's a whole lot of hardship in town. Companies are leaving our system. Business is no longer coming in. Ships that are coming into Nigeria today have almost dropped drastically. So a lot of things is happening in the system. I was listening to the former Minister of Education, Dr. Biokosili, yesterday on political platform, where she made mention of some certain things that the government need to do to make sure that this economy come back to place. And that was a very good one of her to speak up also, because Nigerians are now feeling the pain. This protest is a wake-up, and I hope that this government will look deeply at what is happening, what are we doing, what are we doing, how do we help Nigerians to come out from this self-inflicted pain, because I call it a self-inflicted pain, because if we had listened to the then Jonathan's administration to remove fuel subsidy, I think the kind of pain we are facing today, we will not be facing some of these pains. We will have adjusted to that system, and we will move on and save a whole lot of more money then. And this system and this current government that is coming in place will have something to fall back on. And now they don't have anything to fall back on. They don't even have a clear economic policy to see how to drive the economy forward so that we, the Nigerians, will not feel the pain. They have not even placed a kind of a shock absorber, a kind of funds to serve as a shock absorber, a kind of subsidy to help the poor Nigerians to access some certain basic amenities in terms of transportation or healthcare. I mean, food store, at least the basic things we can have. There's nothing there that can sustain everybody and say, look, in terms we have this kind of problem, the poor masses we can release this kind of fund into the system so that this fund will serve as a shock absorber for them so that they will not feel much pain. But there is nothing like that at all. We are just left just that way. Whatever dollar gives in the international price, in the international forex, we are taking everything. We are taking everything.
All right.
Really good system. And I think this government should do more to look inward, have a clear economic plan, and know how to get Nigerians out of this poverty that we are going into seriously.
All right, very well. Benga, I noticed you were taking notes.
Yeah. I may just 1 second. I just want to address two things. One,
okay.
protest in 2012. Somebody will come on this program and say that it was hijacked by politicians. I did not see any politician. I did not see anybody involved in that process. What happened in 2012 was our subsidy fine. Explain to us. Got an approval from the National Assembly to only spend 300 billion naira on fuel subsidy, and without any due process, that amount rose to 1.9 trillion. That was the argument for 20. The subsidy costs in 2010 remained at 300 billion. Then in 2011, it rose to 1.9 trillion without any form of explanation. Jonathan said, no, Mr. Jonathan, leave our subsidy for us and find out what the problem is. And then we'll talk about on that. Would you believe that during that protest, now you have at least met with the protesters and explained why we are where we are. During the 2012, vividly, the Minister for Information, the Minister for
I think we're losing
Finance, the head of
I think
issues at the time. Please do not let us confuse issues. Thank you very much.
Benga, we lost you for a minute where you started making mention of the ministers. So if you can come again from that.
Yes, I was saying that the Minister for Information, the Minister for Petroleum, the Minister for the Economy, the head of PPRA and PPMC, the head of all of them sat down, and the question was asked. I think China products do we import and how much crude do we export? Nobody could give a definite answer. Yet you wanted to take away our subsidy. You want to take away our subsidy without any due explanation of how today I think the sum of 1.9 trillion to former President Goodluck Jonathan to pay for subsidy in 2011. That was the question. Today we have a president who is actually an active president who called these protesters. First of all, praised their courage for coming out. Showed the people that yes, you have the right to protest, and also explain why we are where we are. That's the difference between this government and the past government. We want to engage, and we are going to do that no matter what happens. Thank you very much.
All right, very well, Benga. Your audio was a bit cracky, but that's all right. Maybe if you use just your profile picture, I guess it will reduce the burden on the internet provider, and it will perhaps make you a lot more clearer. in subsequent submissions. All right, so very well. But then, so just moving forward, Michael, let me come back to you. One other issue that was raised during the week. I mean, of course, since we're talking about the weekend, the issue of the president's absence has also been an issue of concern to people. But then, justifiably, he sent a letter to the National Assembly telling them he was going to extend his vacation. So, what is the fuss about his absence all about?
Situation before during the Yaradua regime, and we all know what happened when, unfortunately, then the late president didn't write a letter to the National Assembly. So we all know what really happened. People were wondering why would the president leave the country without sending a letter and all that. But now this Mr. Buhari has sent a letter to the Senate. Unfortunately, the letter has not been read at the plenary, and the Senate has adjourned plenary to 24th of this month. So which means we don't have an acting president right now. We basically have the vice president. So the office of the president is vacant, like he's not around, no acting president for now. But we all in Nigeria, we can still manage on with it and move on with our lives. But so far so good. I think the AG president has, to my opinion, he has performed well in his acting role, doing some of the things that he has done. I think he sent the name of the acting CJN to the Senate, which Nigerians have been clamoring for over the while, and Mr. Buhari has refused to do. I don't know why, but he has been able to do that, which should give him credit for doing. Other than that, he has performed. He has been doing his duties well. He met with the NLC, and of course, he does not have the full powers to do some of the things we would want him to do. But let's pray for the recovery of the president himself. Or whatever happens, then we have a vice president who can. Who is up to the task, who can actually perform the wonders we actually want. But for now, Nigerians should be worried whether the president is around or not. The country is still going on.
All right, very well. Olumi, what's your own take on that?
Most of the times when this government, this APC-led government, had performed reasonably well at those times, or were those times that the substantive president or the full president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, has been away from Nigeria. The best days of the APC-led government in power in the lives of Nigerians have been those days when the president has been out of Nigeria. So I personally do not think there's a problem with that. I don't think that should be an issue. The issue, therefore, or the issue for me is that I don't understand why in Africa we hold on to power much more than the kind of attention we pay to our health. In Senate climes, while I agree 100% that the health of the president is a private matter, in Senate climes, the public are informed of what condition their leader is suffering from, and they show empathy and understanding. One of the reasons why Nigerians have been disagitated about Buhari's health is because between the spokesperson for the president and the ruling of Progressive Congress, we haven't seen a straightforward answer as to what exactly is wrong with the president. So you give room for guesswork. People begin to contemplate and begin to play chess over the health of the man who is their president, and that should not really be. And that's where I see a problem, because the presidency itself is not willing to let its subjects realize what is wrong with the man who is president. You give room for the citizens and the doubting Thomases to begin to raise question mark as regards or as to the capacity of the president to fulfill his constitutional responsibilities. And I see that as a failure of leadership. There is nothing wrong with President Muhammadu Buhari being sick. He's human, for God's sake. The man is 74 going 75. Or some, yeah. So I should expect at that age, even people who are not 74, 75 do fall ill. What is wrong, however, is the secrecy that has surrounded exactly what the problem is with the president. And look, we cannot continue to run this country like that. Yaradua, for a very long time, the cabal that held Yaradua hostage held him hostage up to a point that Nigerians never really knew that the president was flown in dead into the country. It turns out that the man was flown in dead. That's how serious people, how very awkward people get when it comes to protecting their interests. And unfortunately, the events of the last few weeks are beginning to show telltale signs of a repeat of a Yar'Adua presidency. I pray for the president to return back to Nigeria in good health. What I am concerned about is, what is the mystery surrounding the presidency not wanting Nigerians to know what exactly is wrong with their president? It's not right. You don't run a government in secrecy. If tomorrow President Buhari says, I'm suffering from whatever and whatever problem, it's not going to be, he's not going to be the first person to suffer from such problems, but let your people know exactly what is wrong with you. As honest-minded as Buhari might be in terms of his plans for Nigerians, I feel that the people surrounding him, the cabal holding him as hostage, unfortunately he's not accepting that, are making life unnecessarily difficult and miserable for him. You cannot continue to hide such sensitive information from the people you govern. And that's why you see, and that's where you see people begin to raise question marks as to whether the president is dead or alive. But going back to your question, dead or alive, Nigeria would move on. Hopefully, President Buhari would come back from his temporary health setback, if he does in actual fact exist alive. But let the presidency become more transparent and be more open to Nigerians. And then you foreclose the chances of people doing guesswork on the life or the health of a president. So I don't think we have missed anything as a country. I think we have actually done better than we've done over the last months or years that the president has been on ground in Nigeria. So I hope he comes back alive. I pray for his quick recovery if he's sick, but we must learn to do things the right way in this country. We can't continue like that, bro.
All right.
We were stepping just for a minute. Meanwhile, there is no between what happened under the Yar'Adua administration and what is happening right now. One thing that was missing was a letter transferring powers, executive power, from the president to the vice president. That didn't happen at the time, and that is why there was that lacuna. In this case, there is a clear...
Yeah, please, can you turn off your video and then go ahead? I think it'll reduce the burden on the internet and it will make you clearer.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try that and see how that works. Just turn off the video. Yeah, this is good.
All right. So as I was saying, there is a clear difference, clear-cut difference between that what happened then and what is happening now. I admit that there will be fears that, but this is there's no law that has been broken at this point. None. The president has wrote a letter to the National Assembly requesting time off to go and take care of himself, and he transferred power legally to the vice president. The country is working and things are working well. Why we want to force a comparison between what happened? The only, for me, the only similarity between that what happened then and what's happening now is that both of them are from Katsina. That is the only similarity I see here. And as you said, anybody can fall sick, and the law has been followed. So why are we making it an issue?
Quickly respond so that we don't make this argumentative. I said while I was making my submission, the president hasn't done anything wrong by law. Wrong in terms of public confidence. The presidency, not Muhammad Buhari himself. But again, unfortunately, it's a one-man show in Nigeria. When you mention the presidency, you're most times talking about one person. The president is not feeling fine. That is granted. He is human. That is 100% granted. People fall ill. What is wrong with the president letting Nigerians know exactly what is wrong with him? That's my point. While he may not have any reason to do so, but I think that the ethics of transparency requires you to let your people know exactly what condition you're suffering from. What that does sees the chance or chances of people making guesswork over what exactly is wrong with their presidents. And that's my point. And I mentioned that there's a cabal which had Yar'Adua hostage. And I mentioned again that unfortunately, we are beginning to see telltale signs or evidences of that cabal manifesting itself again. I heard some few days back, the spokesperson for the president on media, Femi Adesina, TV station, Channels TV, if he communicates with the president every time. I couldn't help but laugh when he said, well, I don't speak with the president every time, but I speak to people around London about how the president is feeling. And that's what the problem we're talking about. If the man who is the spokesperson for the president does not communicate with his boss on a daily basis, and he has to rely on a third party or a second party to speak with his principal, let's see that there's a problem. And for me, it's not peculiar to worry. This is how the Nigerian state has been structured or designed by politicians. That aura of secrecy, of lack of transparency, that occult-like political arrangement, we have been unable to break that cabal, that yoke as a country, and that's why we're not making progress. Important information that would cause no harm, people hold it to themselves as if their life depends on it. So if the spokesperson for the president can come on national television and say to Nigerians, I am the spokesperson for the president, but I don't speak to him directly. I only rely on information given to me by people around London. We can see that there's a fundamental problem in the way our leaders govern us in this country, and that's my point. And when you talk about a cabal, cabals don't start overnight. Cabals are entrenched in the system. Of one cabal leaving and another cabal taking over. So that, for me, is where I think things haven't been done the way they should be done. And not that there's a very close similarity between whether the president heard in letting people know that he's going on vacation and what happened to the late Yaradua. But look, you and I agree, including Benga, including Benga, that the channel of communication between the presidency and Nigerians is so poor. And it's not straight, it's not direct. And a lot of improvement needs to be done in that regard.
All right, we're running out of time and we have to wrap this conversation at this moment. But Ben, let me come to you to have the final word just before we go. You've been here, a lot of what has gone on the bridge, but then you've been a bit quiet. Let me just get your own thoughts on this issue that has just been dragging up and down before we close.
One of the problems we're facing in this country is transparency. The government has not been transparent enough to other Nigerians, and that's why a lot of issues are coming up. If the government is transparent enough, if they can be truthful enough to tell us what is really happening and stop this kind of secrecy, this kind of awkward system running government, it will help. It will go a long way. The government should come out openly and tell us what is happening. We all have a stake in this government. This government is for all of us. It belongs to all Nigerians. We elected them to be in this position they are, and they are public service and they're public servant, public figures, and so we have the right to know what is happening to them and what is not happening to them. I think they should be able to come up in clear terms and continue to tell us, look, this is what is happening. There's nothing wrong with the president getting sick, and there's nothing wrong for him going abroad to have his medical treatment and the rest of it. But there's something wrong when the information we're getting from the two parties, the two bodies who are looking after the president is not rhyming. The spokesman to Mr. President and the Minister of Information, when the information that is coming out from that place is not in the same line. So it will give us a room to create doubt and as if maybe something wrong has really happened to the president. So they should just come up and in a clear terms let them be transparent enough. In fact, lack of transparency is also part of this corruption we are talking about. So this presidency should be transparent enough to us, the people that they are governing, and we can support and pray for the president and know what to pray for also. And we wish the president to get well and come back and continue from where he has stopped.
All right, thank you very much, Ben Cosmos. But just before we go, we see you score NTA car rental. Thanks for coming on board, but then we're really out of time and we would have loved to hear from you, but then you joined the conversation a bit late and that's why we have to wrap it up. Ben, thanks for coming on the program. Benga, thanks for joining us from Lokoja in Kogi State. Michael, you're here with me in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. And Olumiwa, you joined us from Dunedin in New Zealand. Thanks all of you for coming on the program. But that's where we wrap it up. I'm Victor Matthias and it's Google Plus Hangout for Channels Team.